that intimate relationship you build with your resource is amazing, you know, because you're waiting for that red salmon, and when you see it, it's like a whole bunch of emotions go through your body because you're so happy you finally get to eat it. You're so happy you caught one, and all the things that come with it, the heads, the tails, the eggs, you know, you're just waiting for that.
All fish is important to me, and that's how I feel. Red salmon is usually, well, you know, the runs. Mm-hmm. They come in first, and then they got the humpies and dogs and silvers, and once in a great while, a king salmon maybe, if you're lucky.
We're so blessed here. We're so lucky. We have all kinds of food, every kind of food, and we have medicine. Every natural medicine you can think of. We're so blessed.
During that oil spill time, we were all getting ready here for our spring and waiting for things to kick in. And then we get notified that the oil spill occurred.
It's not only the worst oil spill in U.S. history, it's by far the largest in such a remote, pristine area.
We didn't eat any of that. We quit eating everything. I mean, that oil spill, we stopped. It took us a long time before we started eating our foods again, and fish was one of them. Because that relationship you have with your environment is what that, you know, that's all that matters, because that relationship was, you know, hundreds of years built. And all of a sudden, you know, everything comes to a stop, and that relationship with the land and the water is now questioning you, you know, is it edible? Can I feed this to my family? Because of the oil spill, got funding from that through EVOS, the Trustee Council, and was able to get repositories for our communities, our little museums. They also developed a program called Natural Resource. That was done through that, to be able to capture those documents about fishing and our resources being utilized during that time. But a lot was going on. You know, a lot was happening during that time.
When I started back out, that was after I graduated in 91. I can't recall if it was 92, 93 we started up.
Well, the weir did not operate from 1942 through about 1992, and then Cook Inlet Regional Resources Commission and the village of Nanwalek restarted the weir in 1993. And part of that was to track the levels of fish returning to the lake as compared to hatchery releases, you know, at that time, releases of fry back into the lakes. It was part of that program. And the Nanwalek sockeye enhancement program that was going on, working with the Port Graham hatchery.
There was a lot of concern about whether this was, you know, a good idea to have this hatchery program anymore. The hatchery stocking ended and continued monitoring occurred. They were looking for disease and hatchery return and then counting for sockeye salmon escapement.
We started doing we did our first AWL samples on the second lake through Tim Sands. It's the one that trained us to do that because we had a big weir set up in there for smoke. Those the counts, the migrations going out.
I've been working there since I was 18 years old, and it's been the same since. Sometimes we'll have less fish, some years we'll have good fish. There was this one year we had multiple fish where the whole, you know how long the picket is? We had fish pounding all the time. We had to open like maybe 4 holes just to let them go through. We couldn't count them because we didn't want to let them get stressed out. We just wanted them to continue moving on. And once in a while, me and my partner, we let 50 or 60 king salmons go through. Because I heard before I was born, they used to have king salmon in here.
Our whole system here is designed by you know who to take in millions. It's designed to take a big bunch of fish.
People are supposed to be limited until we hit the 10,000 mark, and then it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
Because they want you just to get minimum, like dinner and a couple to put away or something before you hit 10,000 counted at the weir.
You're not supposed to fish past the weir. So if you get caught up there, you get in trouble.
I would like to think that both some of our management and some of your internal community management, through peer pressure or whatever was exerted, has got us back to where we're enjoying strong runs.
Something that we really want to do at CIRC is to actually study and look at the nutrient levels in the lake, and we can decide from, if there are higher nutrient levels in the lake, we can let more fish escape and be up in the lake system and know that there's plenty of food for the juvenile fish to eat.
We'd be like, we're counting. Sometimes for an hour, we'd be counting.
Once nutrient levels decrease, or if they are lower than what we expect or than what we previously studied, which was over 30 years ago, that would be an indicator for wanting to have less fish escape and be up in the lakes, because then we can help preventing crowding up there and then having enough food available for those juvenile sockeye salmon rearing in the lake system.
It's not ours, it's for each generation. It's not ours to determine, we should put a hatchery here, no, or share, no.
But I feel like like I said, if we had our own hatchery, it would benefit. And they usually, after they do the egg take, they get all the red salmon and they send some to Portgram, because Portgram doesn't get red salmon.
I know that people weren't so very happy when the eggs were taken out of the lake system and given to other entities where they transplanted those eggs, because I think in the past some of the older people did not like that whole idea. What if we don't have enough for here? And they keep on taking them out and giving them to other places.
The Homer fishing game. Yeah, that's who we started out with, Homer fishing game.
And CIRC was the one we depended on, unless we reported directly to Fish and Game.
The best data we can have to manage from is weir data. It's the gold standard of escapement data. You're literally counting every single fish into the system, assuming the weir is fish tight. So it's invaluable, and I would, as you probably know, historically there was even a smolt out-migration portion to that project. It wasn't just the adult returns. And those data become particularly valuable when you're trying to understand potentially, the source of a problem. If you're in a low productivity phase, is it a freshwater derived problem or is it an ocean problem? And by counting the smolt out migration, if you've got lots of healthy smolts going out but not many adults coming back, then you can pretty much conclude the problem's in the ocean. Whereas if you don't have a lot of smolts going out, but you say you had a good number of spawners, adult spawners, then you've got a problem in freshwater, and you could develop some, in-stream studies to figure out what that is.
Right now we're collecting genetics tissue samples to look for genetic distinctions between early and late run sockeye salmon on English Bay River. So the bluebacks versus the greenbacks versus the brownbacks, we can tell from these genetic IDs. And so we're taking a fin clip for that. And then we're also aging the sockeye with scales. So we're collecting scale samples. It's really important to understand the composition of the run and see at what age they're returning back to spawn. And so we're trying to collect scales to get more information around the overall age of the return of this run. We're also sampling for disease on English Bay River to understand impacts of the old hatchery program that was here and see if there's IHN or PKD. And we're doing that by collecting kidney and spleen and ovary samples, sending that back to the pathology lab and getting the results.
These diseases aren't harmful to human health, so when you're consuming these fish, even if they were to have IHN or PKD, we're not concerned for your health of consuming or eating the fish. It's more of being worried about widespread disease in a sockeye population because they're rearing together in the lakes, and so once that spreads more widespread, then there could be a die-off, and that would be the concern.
I think it's getting warmer. There's more algae in the river and even in the lagoon, and there was a more mossy looking stuff in the lagoon and no eelgrass, or very, very little, and it used to be just full.
It's so crazy because they used to start like running at the end of April, but now it's later, like I think it was like the end of May, beginning of June when they started running, and that is weird. I think it's the climate change or something. The weir is good because, you know, to make sure our fish are running every year and we don't overtake from the system and we have something for years to come. And I feel like it's really important because we have a lot of kids here, and like 80% of our population is kids, and that's their future, and we need to keep the weir.
And I see now there's little guys who's taken interest in some of this. They're snagging them, catching them, and they're all excited. Big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that'd be great if we could catch these young guys to maybe take them up maybe in the summer and just kind of have somebody supervise them and show them how the system works.
These stories, they're leaving. You know, these stories are leaving. Us old people we got one foot out the door and ready to go. You're not hearing these stories from these old people in regards to fishing, these old fishermen. They're going to miss out on an awful lot. What we learned was to not take a whole bunch of reds and nothing else. Like, don't wipe them out. You get a little bit of trout, you get a little bit of reds, a little bit of silvers and pinks. And it gives you a variety for meals.
Be grateful for what you get and treat it with respect.
Important lifestyle we have.
Taking care of the weir and making the escapement and letting them escape.
It's no better outdoor activity in the world than they go chase salmon when they're abundant and honor them by, you know, preserving them and cooking them up the right way and sharing them with family and friends. It's just the greatest thing you can do. And it's a resource that, if treated properly, will keep going and going and going and producing, you know, for decades, for generations. Yeah.